Have you ever experienced momentum, like momentum in your job where you feel like you are like in the zone and things are going so good in your business and you've got momentum going? Momentum is very, very important. I feel like we've got great momentum. I felt like there were seasons where our ministry did not have momentum like we thought we wanted it to have. There are times that your family doesn't have the momentum. And momentum is very, very important because once you get momentum, you don't want to lose momentum. I grew up in the 80s. Come on, somebody. Anybody? I know I look like a 90s child, but I'm an 80s boy. And I grew up in the 80s, which is probably the best generation that you would ever grow up with music. You're getting the best of this. You're getting the best of the 70s music. Come on, talk back to me. Go ahead. You want to fight? You want to argue? Let's go. And I'm telling you, I love the best of the 70s music and the best of the 80s put it together. This was like on the verge of techno, and we're moving right along. But I'm telling you, I grew up in that day and age where you had to learn to drive, that you had a stick shift. Come on, somebody. And did you stick shift? Anybody drove a stick shift? Anybody drive a stick shift? Right on. Okay, so you're all 50 and above. But I remember that when I used to drive a stick shift, and then you ever when your car died down and you had a problem and you just knew that you needed somebody to push it for you, and if you could get somebody to push that car, all you had to do is pop the clutch and then you'd be on your way, right? You know, but sometimes you can't do it by yourself, so you need somebody to push it for you. So you got that one person who's struggling by themselves, and they're going backwards, and they're pushing it backwards, and they're doing like this, and then finally somebody gets out of their car, and they jump over, and you got a second person that's helping to push the car, and finally you've got momentum. Momentum is very, very important in our lives, and when you've got momentum, there's no stopping you. There's a few things I want to talk to you today about what can stop your momentum or from you even starting to even receive any momentum. Because I want you to know that momentum is critical. Momentum is important. So when I look at 6 things, I want to share with you 6 things on how to have momentum in your new year. I'm telling you, this is a different way from I normally preach. This is more going to be like a seminar style. And if you miss anything, just go and watch it on YouTube and download it all over again. But I want to give you 6 things on how to grab momentum. Number 1, write this down. You have to have a plan and track your progress. You got to have a plan. Everybody say plan. Most people have plans. Some people don't have plans. I've seen people prep more for their wedding than they did for their marriage. You put 6 months into that wedding, but you haven't planned your marriage. So when I look at planning your life, what you have to do is make sure that you have a plan. Because when you create a plan, you actually have something to follow back on. For example, Isaiah 46 verse 10, God says, "Only I can tell you the future before it happens, and everything I plan will come to pass." God plans, everybody. Everything I plan will come to pass. So if God plans, why shouldn't we plan? So I've heard it said before, if you fail to plan, then, well, just plan to fail. And so most people go through life thinking, I'm just going to let life happen to me. I'm not going to make it happen. I'm going to cross my fingers, hope everything's going to be okay. And I'm telling you right now that you have to be planners. If you want momentum in 2024, you have to have a plan. Say plan. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. They're for a future, to give you a hope." God's got plans. God's got great plans for you, but you also have to have a plan. What's your plan? Do you have a plan? Do you have a disaster preparedness plan? I've been telling the church for 3 years, you got to be ready for a natural disaster or man-made disaster. You got to be able to have at least 3 to 6 months of food for every family member in your family, not 3 to 6 months of food for just you. You know what I'm talking about? Sorry, you can't have my tuna. You know what I'm saying? No, you're going to have 3 to 6. That's your plan. What's your disaster preparedness plan? What's your financial plan for retirement? Do you even have life insurance that if you unexpectedly go to be with the Lord and get graduated earlier than everybody expected, or what are you leaving behind? Do you have a plan? Plans are important. But I want to take it even one step deeper, more than plans. I want to talk to you about goals. Goals are very, very important. So when I look at goals, and I have goals, and I have plans, and I am prepared. Not fully. There are areas that need to be shored up, but I have goals, I have plans, and I am prepared. You don't sit in a building like this without someone planning and people preparing. It's not like, oh, it just happens. It just happened. That doesn't just happen. That doesn't just happen. Oh, title of one of my books, shameless plug. Anyway, That doesn't just happen. That successful business, that doesn't just happen. That family that's doing well, that doesn't just happen. It's not pixie dust. And sometimes we just think that, oh, it's just pixie dust. It's just they got blessed and we just didn't. They just happened to get blessed and God passed over us. That's not true. I believe that God has something for every single person in this room. I don't care how you grew up. I don't care where you came from. I don't care if you had a graduating class of 110 people like me or 50 people or 2,000. I'm telling you right now that God has great plans for your life, and it's not pixie dust. It doesn't just happen. It is hard work and the favor of God. When they converge, planning, preparedness, and goals, that's when these kinds of things begin to happen. That doesn't just happen, but it does happen. Oh, I'm going to say that again. That doesn't just happen, but it does happen. So when I look at this, I think about this for a moment. Number one, you got to have a plan, and you've got to be able to set it up for success. So Zig Ziglar, one of my favorite people who went to be with the Lord in the early 2000s, said, a goal properly set is halfway reached. You're already halfway there. If you are already setting a goal, you already have named the goal, you name it, and you give it a date, a deadline, and you've given it a deadline, and sometimes deadlines move, but you give it a date and you give it a deadline, that's what? Guess what? It's halfway reached. You are halfway there. As a matter of fact, let me give you some statistics, some stats. They say that on New Year's resolutions, when it comes to the new year, 25% of the people give up within the first week, 25%. 25% are done in the first week. 43%, I believe, are done, or 60% forget it altogether within the first month. 60% now are out in 6 months. They're down. And then the statistic says that only 3% of the people actually write down their goals. Only 3% of people write down their goals. And then, how about this? And 42% of the 3% actually attain them. That's pretty good stats. This is not good. This is pretty good. So if you were just to write it down somewhere, where do you put it? I put it all over the place. I asked my wife. She's like, can I wipe that off? I had all my goals. I had all my plans. I had my coaching format. I was in the zone. I was writing stuff down, and then I left it there for about 6 months so I can read it. And she kind of got like into this nesting nerd. She's not pregnant, but nesting nerd. You got to clean everything. Like, I just gotta clean everything. Windex. You wiped down my goals. There goes our life. It's over. No, I was like, good thing I got them memorized. But we write it down. So what do? I write it down on mirrors all over my house. Before I wake up in the morning, I look at the mirror and go, what's up, you handsome bugger? Then I go, no, I don't do that. Somebody gotta lift you up. You gotta lift yourself up. Some of you gotta get better talking to yourself in the mirror. And then what I do is I start to look at my goals and what I want to see happen. And what are my goals? My goals are physical or health. Okay? So I want to be at this particular weight by this particular time. I want to do this kind of workout. I want to join this club. I want to do that thing. I've got financial goals. How much money do I want to save more? And how much money do I want to earn more? I want to save more. I want to spend less. So that'll put me in the positive. How much more do I want to be in the positive every month? So I got a physical goal. I've got a financial goal. I've also got a family goal. Where do I want my kids at? What school am I believing for them to end up going at? I put my dream school on this thing for my kids. So what's your dream school? Some of you may not want to send your kid to college. And that might be a good idea too. It depends on their bent, right? Family goal. Oh, we want to have dinner 1 time a week. Would they be stretching it 2 times a week as a family at the dinner table with no phones? And we actually slow down and actually eat and talk? That'd be a goal. That's a good goal. Physically, financial, family. How about another goal? We could do a business goal. You might have a business goal. There's all kinds of goals. How about this one? This is the most important one, a spiritual goal. What's your spiritual goal? I want to be more like Jesus. Okay, quantify that for me, because I want you to be more like Jesus too. Me too. What does that look like? Well, I want to read my Bible every day for 20 minutes. Great. Every day for 20 minutes a day. Okay, 20 minutes a day. Do that. Or what about one proverb? One proverb a day. Remember, there's 31 of them. One proverb a day. A proverb a day keeps the stupids away, right? One proverb a day. Okay?